say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. We will once again extend to each and every one of you our deep appreciation in allowing this particular transmission and communication to take place in this way, which affords us the opportunity to expand our own consciousness as well as sharing with you some ideas that can help to expand your own. Let us begin. We understand that we are having this discussion, this get-together, as you say in your language, this day of your time, for the purpose of talking about the subject of money. Now, yours is not the only planet that has it, but it is one of the few we have encountered that does. But that's all right. It is unique, it is valid, and since we understand it is one of the ways your planet works, we will talk about it in direct terms. Now, the idea to understand, first and foremost, is this. Do not mean to disappoint you, but I will not be telling you how to win the lottery. That is first and foremost. I will tell you this. You have the ability to win the lottery, but you must understand that it has to be keyed to the strongest excitement within you and has to be an all-consuming focus or an absolute knowingness for you to allow yourself to fall into the appropriate slot where that can synchronistically represent itself to you as one form of abundance on your planet. It can be done, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the idea of how you can attract more money into your life by whatever methodology you so desire. Now, yes, as a very brief recap, yes, it is for the most part based on the idea of following your joy. Absolutely, because that is fundamentally who you are. Your excitement, your vibration is who you are. By acting on your joy, it is far more likely that you're going to put yourself in the proper place and time to see the opportunities that can allow you to act upon them to bring you more money in your life. Please do remember, and we will get into this in another way, in a new way in a moment, but please do remember that abundance really is only the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. It can be money. It doesn't have to be money, but it can be money, and because that is the subject of this discussion, we will focus on that. Now, what we are really saying here, in terms of giving you more of an opportunity to attract more money in your life, is we are helping in this discussion to uncover and to clarify your relationship to money and abundance. Your relationship to money and abundance. Because that is all it takes. That's all that's required to allow money to come pouring in rivers, in waterfalls into your life. Because the universe is abundant. Your planet has all the money it needs for every single one of the individuals that we are talking to now in this gathering, and many, 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 many more to become what you call millionaires. More than enough for that. Remember, one of the reasons that is so is that not everyone needs or wants to really be a millionaire. So the idea is that for everyone that is truly excited and attracted to that experience, there is enough for you to become a multi-millionaire. There is. After all, you create the idea of money. You can create what you need. Not saying that you should run out and print it. We understand your laws frown on that. But you can create what you need. You can attract what you need in your life regarding as much money as you have ever dreamed of. One of the things that we have said that does go hand in hand with this, of course, is the degree of your activity, the degree to which you put out that you exist on a level that is commensurate with receiving a lot of money in return. For individuals who are simply limiting themselves in certain ways are actually giving off a message that they don't really want or need that much money. But by expanding your expression of self, you give off more of a signal to reality, to the mirror of the universe, that money can be reflected in the degree of expansion you are willing to provide, you are willing to exhibit. Now, let us talk about three primary ideas. This will be new approaches for you regarding the concept of money. And remember, what we are doing is we are attempting to shake up, dislodge, deconstruct then clarify and reconstruct and relodge your relationship to money. Because you don't have to do anything but relate to money differently than you do in order for money to come flooding into your life. But the fact that many of you don't have a clear relationship to money is the thing that prevents that money from coming in. So, let us begin with the first of the three ideas. Now, to some degree, you've talked about this concept before, and the concept that we will now present to you in a new way is the concept of definitions, and specifically definitions that contradict one another. Remember, your beliefs, your definitions, are what create your reality. Now, one of the things we have said is the idea that you are raised with a number of conflicting ideas about money. One of the ones we have given you already is that when you are growing up, most people, especially in your culture, will say, in order to be successful, in order to be looked at as successful, in order to be considered successful, you must make a lot of money. And again, in the next breath, in the other ear, they say, but money is the root of all evil. That means if you become successful, you are going to be evil. You really do take these concepts to heart. You really do. And when you do, you create this conflict within yourself, this battle, this war within yourselves that doesn't allow you to move ahead. And it sours your relationship to money. And it builds tension and stress within your body because you are literally tearing yourself apart. I want to be successful. I want a lot of money. I will be the devil himself if I become rich. What am I to do? What am I to do? As we have discussed, the idea is to get in touch, of course, with those definitions and clarify them so that you understand that these are not things you must believe in. That you don't have to connect the idea of being a bad person, of being evil, so to speak, with the idea of having money. You don't have to believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely, because it only does when you absolutely believe that it does. That's the point. You need to find your definitions and weed them out, lay them out clearly, separate them out clearly, disentangle them from one another clearly, so that you can understand what you are dealing with, what you have to work with. What are the tools you have at hand? What are the definitions that give you your relationship to money? An example that was recently provided is the idea that because you have entangled your belief systems up, you can be thinking that you want one thing, and you don't seem to be able to get that one thing, and you can't figure out why you can't get that one thing, until all of a sudden you realize that if you got that one thing, it would mean that you would have to do this other thing that to you is something you don't want to do. And so because it is something you are absolutely 100% against doing in your mind, you will make sure that you prevent yourself from getting that first thing that would give you or force you to do the other thing. When you connect things together that way, then you will never be able to allow yourself to see clearly what your relationships are, because it will all be caught up and wound up in a bunch of different cross-conflicting belief systems. Let's now look at one we have not discussed before that on the surface may not seem to be very profound, but again, remember, all these things sink into you, and when they do, even though the original idea may on the surface not seem to have a lot of power, when you apply the same principles unconsciously to other areas of your life, they can absolutely stop you cold, stop you dead, as you say. Let's look at your idea of your monetary system. Now, when your money, your idea of money, your value for money, the value you have placed on your money, when the value of your money becomes less, you say your money is inflated. What kind of sense does that make? You say that something that gets bigger gets smaller. That something that gets smaller gets bigger. And when it all of a sudden has more value, you say it has deflated. Is it any wonder you are confused? No, not at all. Again, this may seem arbitrary, but stop and think about it. These are the kinds of signals that you have been giving yourselves and have been given to you for years concerning money. There is a very important thing to understand behind this. And that is, you need to look at money in exactly the opposite way you have been trained to look at money. In especially this case, the idea, first of all, of whatever this core value is that you have arbitrarily assigned to the idea of money, that you all agree is the worth of the money. But then once you have done that, you go throwing your own system out of whack, out of kilter, by labeling this value as fluctuating in such a manner that the label is exactly the opposite of what it is doing. Allow yourself to begin right now to reverse that idea. Let's use this example. And I will take you through the exercise now briefly, but understand why we are doing this. Everything we are now going to discuss, in all the examples we will now give you, may on the surface just sound like words, and you may walk out of this seminar, as you call it, afterwards saying, well, all right, I heard a lot of words, and maybe they made sense, and maybe they did not. But what is actually going on here is this. The things that we are sharing with all of you now on this subject are specifically designed to get under your skin, into your sub and unconscious selves, and dislodge, to start to break up these locked-in, deep-seated definitions and belief systems about money that you've been carrying with you through your whole life. So when you walk away, you may think, well, that was nice, those were words. You will actually walk away beginning the process of breaking down all of these ideas. It is like we are now giving you, tossing into your brain, a little time-released acid capsule, meaning the acid that dissolves, not the drug. The idea being that that capsule will begin to break down, and as it does, it will begin to seek out and dissolve all of those conflicting, contrary ideas and beliefs, and will start to unravel the tapestry, so you will begin to examine them one at a time. All of a sudden you'll find yourself beginning in your dreams or in your waking state to start seeing one at a time those individual precision definitions that have been wrapped up with other ones. You'll start to break down your ideas of your relationship to money. That's what it is that we are doing here. We're rattling your cage, rattling your consciousness, and allowing you to deconstruct who you have been so that you can go through the process of reconstructing who you are and thus reconstruct the relationship to money that you have had into something new, into something abundant, into something spendable, tradable, on the open market, on your planet. And that will be you. You are the commodity that needs to be traded, that needs to be spent, that needs to be exchanged. You are the thing of value. You. Before we go on with this exercise, I will tell you that in time, not right away, but in time, your planet's quote-unquote monetary system will actually finally be based, and this is what it is heading toward, be based on the skills and abilities people have to offer. And there will be, not a government, but an organizational body that will put people together based on the skills they have to share with the people that need those skills. And synchronistically, everyone will find exactly who they need to provide what they need, and in turn will provide to others what they need based on who they are. But until that day, I understand that you want big fat wallets. And so let us proceed. because that is what this subject is about. So, with regard to this idea of inflation, deflation, let us look at the idea now in your minds. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, it doesn't matter. But if you will, see the idea of what you call one of your dollar bills, and see it getting bigger, inflating, 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 in the literal sense of the word, so that it is bigger, 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 bigger. And along with it, and congruently, it is more powerful. You have more spending power in that dollar because you're making it bigger. Bigger, 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 bigger. Now, stop it there at a certain size, whatever that size may be. Or if it's stopped by itself, that's fine. Now, let it shrink. Don't worry, it's all right. You can always inflate it again. There's more than enough air. Let it shrink. Down, 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 down. Tiny, tiny, tiny little itty-bitty piece of paper. So small, maybe it would just blow away in the wind like a speck. Little tiny dollar. No value, or almost no value at all. Can't even grab it, let alone spend it. Can't convince anyone it's a dollar because it's so small you can't see it. Now, let it come back to what you consider it to be normal size. Now, look at it carefully. Don't adjust it. Did it come back slightly smaller than normal size and stop, or slightly bigger than normal size and then stop, or did it come back exactly the size you have always seen it? There are ways to tell. Allow yourself in your own mind to understand by taking a good look at it, by having in your imagination someone else walk in and put a dollar bill down next to it, as to whether it wound up a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. This will tell you the beginnings of what value you consider money in general to have. Whether it is really worth more or worth less than what you call the going rate. And this keys strongly into your relationship to money and your relationship to yourself as to whether you believe you are more or less than the going rate. Whether you have the ability to be a commodity worth exchanging, or whether you fall a little short. Now understand, please, this is important. Nothing that we are saying here today is about becoming a materialistic, egocentric, money-grubbing person. We are not talking about the idea of forming a fixation on material goods, but it is all right for you to attract material comfort in your life. There is a balance. You all know that. I don't really have to say it, but it's too late. I already did. So relax and let go of any worries any of you might have had about the idea that, oh, we're focusing so strongly today on the idea of getting a lot of money, but I don't want to be seen as a money-grubbing miser. I don't want to be seen as someone who hoards their money. You really are, I will assume, simply looking for that primary balance point that allows you to feel the freedom you know you deserve to feel. Yes? 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 Yes. All right. Just want to make sure you're awake. Now, let us go on to item number 2. And here is a very, very powerful, powerful, powerful equation. Very powerful. You don't have to believe me. No matter how many times I say it, when you learn to use this tool, you will see it's very powerful. Why? Because it is the essential structure of how you attract money. And as all essential structures, it is built on paradox. Most of you are brought up with different ideas that, taken all together, allow you to create in your mind and in your heart a particular cumulative, reactive, emotional effect. this particular cumulative, reactive, emotional effect is generally as follows. If I don't have enough, or what I think ought to be enough money, then there's nothing I can do. I am sunk. I am stuck. I have nothing to work with. This is the general reaction most of you have to what you typically call a low level of income, or an almost non-existent level of income. You feel stuck. You feel incapable of really moving ahead. What I am going to tell you now is that this is the most powerful state you can be in to generate money. Not just for what you might typically think, oh, because I'm at the bottom of the barrel now, all I have to do is move up because up is the only way I can move. Yes, that's true, but that's not the point and not the mechanism. Here's the idea. Pay attention very, very carefully. It is simple, but it might take you a moment to understand how to use it and how to apply it. But when you do, oh, are you going to take off like a rocket? Oh, all right, you're going to take off like a hyperdrive spaceship. Now, creation is nothing but abundance. In, let's just put it colloquially, creation's infinite wisdom, you were created with exactly what you need to create more of whatever you need. Let's go over that one more time. When you find yourself standing in a room, outside, wherever it may be, and you feel, let's just say, oh, destitute, if that is how you feel. Let's just take that example. Nothing like extreme. To get your attention. You must understand the first part of this principle, very important in this paradox, in this power, is you still have at that moment every single thing you need. Every single thing you need. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example that is a metaphor in a sense, but realistic. Let us say you fancy yourself an artist. Now you're standing there. You have nothing. You think. What does it take to begin? What does it take to begin to be an artist? To draw something? Well, you say, well, I can't pay for the fancy paints. I can't pay for the fancy pens. I can just barely afford a pencil. Well, I know this is going to sound strange, but you know, people on your planet, when they didn't have fancy paints, when they didn't have fancy pens, when they didn't have pencils, used sticks. And they burnt the sticks to create charcoal, and they drew on cave walls. Some of the most beautiful art, you still think so today. Those cave paintings are extremely sophisticated, very beautiful, and compare with almost anything in any of your museums. And you know this. The point is they knew they had what they needed at hand. This is something you have forgotten because you have been surrounded with the idea that in order to be who you are, the only way you can do that is to have the fancy things. This is a notion I would urge you to get over now. Right now. It doesn't serve you. You don't need the fancy things. Don't be disappointed. We're getting to the point where you can have all the fancy things. But you must understand this is a two-part principle. It's a two-part principle. And it goes something like this. I'll just give you the formula right now. And you'll catch on, but we'll go over it again. Are you paying attention? Are you sure? Doesn't sound like all of you are. Okay. You convinced me. All right, here it is. Here's the formula. Let this sink in. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less to get more. One more time, pay attention. It's very powerful. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less and create more. And after all, isn't that the idea behind what you call entrepreneurial spirit and being truly abundant? That you don't actually really have to do that much, that you don't really have to work that hard to bring in truckloads of money? Isn't that the idea? But how do you get to that point of not needing to do so much and yet bringing in so much? The way you get to the point of not having to do so much to make so much is finally learning to begin the process by learning to do more with less. That is the training that your consciousness needs to understand. When you accept, when you allow it to be all right, as an artist, to go back to our illustration, when you allow it to be all right to know that you can still be an artist in every sense of that concept, not lacking a thing from that concept, of its expression, of its heart, when you know you can be an artist with a stick, then you will understand how to do very little to bring to you any other tool of the artist that is possible for the artist to have to be able to express yourself on any other level you want. Remember, this is based on the idea that the greatest power, the greatest expression of power requires the most delicate touch. When you feel powerless, you attempt to move things around a lot to get them to work. You think you have to exert a lot of pressure. You think you have to exert a lot of force to make something happen. But if you stop and think about it, think about the power of creation itself. When you really are powerful, then all it takes is the slightest nudge of your little finger to move mountains. Because you are that powerful. And when you are that powerful, you don't have to exert yourself. That's the point. So when you know how to let it be all right to do what you need to do with what you have, that you can do more with less, you will empower yourself and enrich yourself and energize yourself to such a degree that the cycle will be completed, the circuit will be closed, you will use both sides of the paradox, and you will begin to see that as you become more powerful, you will need to use less of the power to accomplish more. But you've got to start by opening the gates of your imagination and by allowing yourself to understand that you, just as you are right now, without anything, you can accomplish what you really need to accomplish for yourself in some fashion. And you need to stop measuring the idea and comparing and contrasting and conflicting the idea that just because all you're capable of doing is making a picture with a burnt stick, that somehow that means you are not the artist you want to be. You've got to stop that now. Or none of this and anything else we're going to say will make any sense. Do you understand that? It's all based on this formula, on this principle, and that's it. That is the secret to money. The secret to money. when you know that you can do more with less, you will require less to do more. You need to train yourself to understand this. You need to train yourself to live this way. You need to train yourself to remember this so that it is your first thought, not your second or your third or your last, your first thought. It is your priority. It is your job. It is your duty to yourself to understand how much access you have to everything, and that access requires almost nothing. Nothing. All you have to do is be willing to stretch and expand your definition of what it is you are, and allow what you are capable of doing to be part of that definition, instead of excluding it and saying, oh no, people who draw with burnt sticks are not artists. They're not the artist I want to be. Yes, it is. In every way. In every way. Now, while that's soaking in, let's go on to a third point. Did you all bring your coins? Is there anyone who doesn't have a coin? All right. Now, remember that we suggested that it be, in your terms, a real coin. It is all well and good for you to be creative and make up coins or draw pictures of them, but we are now in this exercise talking about the idea of real money in your terms. Would you rather have real money, or would you rather have an abundance of paper coins? All right. Get out your coins as you have chosen them. It doesn't matter whether they are pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, 50-cent pieces, dollar coins of any kind. It doesn't matter. Make sure it's a coin you believe is a real spendable coin. More than likely, I will leave this up to you, but more than likely you may want it to be a denomination from your own culture, so that you really feel you understand what you consider the value of that coin to be, rather than working from something that comes from another country on your planet. So, have you all got your coins? All right. Now, we're going to play a little game of exchange in the following way. I want one volunteer that has a penny. Who's got a penny? All right, stand up. I want one volunteer that has $1. All right, stand up. All right, now, I'm going to ask a question. Both of you, in whatever order, do you have a favorite candy? Do you have a favorite candy?
Chocolate?
All right, chocolate.
Chocolate.
You have a favorite candy? Both say chocolate. All right. All right. Now, person who has the penny, person who has the $1. All right. Exchange. Have you exchanged? Have you exchanged?
Yes, we have.
All right, now you have the penny?
Yes.
And you have the $1? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes or no, do you?
Yeah, it's $1.
Oh, all right. Are you sure?
I think $1, yes.
All right, thank you. All right. But it is $1, yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, now, who got the best of that deal? Well, it might depend on a lot of things, but in general, your society would think what?
I scored.
You scored. All right. And you?
I lost.
All right. You lost. Now, you with the $1. Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you. You have now come upon a vending machine containing your favorite candy.
Oh boy.
The vending machine is one of those nice, charming little glass bubble jobs. It only takes pennies.
Oh, no.
Now how valuable is that penny to you? How valuable all of a sudden is that penny?
Can we trade?
Go ahead.
I don't know. It might be worth about $1.
Trade them back. Do you get the point?
I got it.
Relative value is not just the idea of what monetary value you have given to the coin, but what its value is to you at any given moment in any given situation. You can be walking down the street and you see that wonderful, delicious chocolate in that machine, and your pocket is full of dollars. And you need a penny. Now how rich are you? Not very. Not as rich as the person with the penny who can waltz right up to the machine and plunk it in and get that delicious chocolate. Because the person with the penny now has the ability to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it. And you don't. You have to go find someone to change the dollar. You go through a process, all well and good, but the point is already made, is it not? All right. I want you to look at the coin you have brought. You may sit down and relax if you are not already doing so. I want you to look at the coin you have brought. I want you to understand as you look at it that you are really, truly, truly developing a relationship with this coin. You're going to marry this coin. Yes, marry this coin. Every single one of you. So I would suggest that if it's not the coin you want to marry, you better get another coin out right now. However, remember what we just did. Remember what we just did in the lesson that was learned. Don't think, oh, I've got a penny, I better trade it for $1 quick. If you chose the penny, maybe there was a good reason for that, and maybe your imagination is saying it will work for you, and it actually is the perfect marriage for what you need in terms of discovering your relationship to money. It has nothing at all to do with the idea that that means you're only going to be getting pennies for the rest of your life. You can get dollars, you can get millions of them. But understand that this is about the relationship to money. And if you find that it feels better emotionally in your heart to marry the coin in your hand and not judge it by its so-called value, which we have just proven worthless in certain circumstances, then maybe you will let go for the moment of the idea of the arbitrary value and begin the true relationship to find the real value of money to you. The real value from your heart, not your head. Now, we're going to digress just a little bit, but not really. There is something very important you all need to understand. A few of you may have heard of this. Probably most of you have not. All of you know this empirically, but most of you think of it only as a metaphor. Most of you know that your heart knows things. That your heart is smart. Not just your head. Your heart is smart. It has now begun to be discovered on your planet through, of course, let's validate it, scientific research, verifiable, scientific, repeatable, experimental research, that the intelligence of the heart, cell for cell, is greater than the intelligence of the brain. Literal intelligence, literal awareness of its own. It has now been shown, and many of you have heard these anecdotal stories that are now being scientifically verified, that when a heart patient receives a transplant, that many times they begin to actually take on the characteristics of the person that donated the heart. This has now been proven true. That the intelligence is actually in the cellular memory of the heart, and that it actually will make a difference and change the person that receives it. In one case, just to drive the point home, so that you understand that this is not arbitrary, and that they're not going off of these little subtle measurements and, oh, well, it could be that or it could be this. A person was murdered. The heart was taken out of that person and given to another young girl. The heart was able to tell the girl who the murderer was, and he was caught. Based on the recipient's memory of the murder from the heart. This is real, solid, interactive energy and intelligence. The point is that this relationship to money must come along with the heart's understanding as well as the head's. It must be holistic as a marriage is holistic. It must not be simply intellectualized. Again, please understand, we are not talking about becoming egocentric, money-grubbing, money-crazed misers, materialistic fiends who give no thought or care for other people's welfare. But what we are really talking about here that will make all the difference is that you really must learn how to develop and have a love affair with money. A true marriage with money. And if that's going to happen, you have to understand how to listen to your heart as well as your head. Because what they have discovered in addition is that the nature of your brain is that it wants to create, for purposes of clarity and processing, divisions, compartments, so it can understand how things relate. But what the heart wants to do is simply relate and be in love with everything and everyone. So, what we're going to do now is to learn to be in love with this coin, to marry this coin, and you're going to understand that by marrying this coin, you're going to marry all money, because it's all one thing. This is a representative of one thing, a whole concept, an entire event, a whole intelligence. Money, exchange, trade, value given, value received. It's one thing. This coin is your partner. Let's begin the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of these witnesses and surrounded by our loved ones, so that you and the coin may be joined together in holy wedlock and understand this is sacred. This is sacred. This is sacred. Are there any objections to this? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Do you take this coin to be your lifelong partner, your lifelong friend, your lifelong lover, to reflect to you in sickness and in health, for richer and for richer, to reflect to you that you are worthy of infinite and unconditional abundance and love, to reflect to you that you are not separate from life, to reflect to you that creation holds nothing back from you, to reflect to you that this with yourself, that this relationship to this coin is the relationship truly of your worth, of your expression of creativity, of your expression of willingness to be who you are. Do you take this coin to be your unconditionally loving and loved partner forever and ever? Do you, little coin, take this human being to be the reflection of all that you represent in terms of your ability, in terms of your potential, in terms of your expression of creativity and abundance? Are you willing to allow this being that is your lifelong, unconditionally loving and loved partner to be the conduit and the channel to represent the ideal of what you are, to represent the ideal of ultimate ability and worth? Do you, little coin? All right. I now pronounce you minted. Now pay attention. You may kiss the coin if you wish. Now, listen, 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 listen. Usually before the honeymoon, and take this to heart in all forms of the meaning of the word, there is the reception. This, in its own way now, and I do not mean to be sacrilegious to anyone, this is, in this moment, a sacrament. It is sacred. 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 Take it in. Receive it. It is your reception. But receive it in your heart. See, feel, imagine the coin moving into your heart, through the skin of your chest, through the muscles of your chest. Actually feel it as you hold it up against you. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it going into your heart. Feel it floating in the blood in your heart. With every beat, feel it. And with every beat, understand, that beat is automatic, it's autonomic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything to force it. It is abundance, 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 abundance. No matter how fast, no matter how slow, it is abundance, abundance. I love you, abundance. Now, as you physically take the coin away, understand that that coin, its essence and its connection to all money is firmly, thoroughly, permanently imprinted into your heart's cellular intelligence. You have just shown your heart what you mean by money, how you feel about loving yourself enough to be abundant. You have just talked to your heart and allowed your heart to understand how to cooperate and participate in conjunction with your brain, your spirit, your body, mind, soul, the cellular memory of all your organs, that you are literally reeking of abundance. You breathe it in, you breathe it, you sweat it, you live it, you drink it, you eat it. Every single thing is a representation of abundance. You are immersed in a sea of it. You are drowning in it, but in a good way, because you can breathe it. You can breathe that rich golden liquid. You are married. You are married. You are married. Really, truly married to this coin. Till death do you part. And so it is. Now let's begin the honeymoon. All right, Yahoo. Oh, let's go shopping. All right. I suppose for many of you that is a heightened sexual experience. But well put. Well put. Now, a honeymoon is exactly where you want to be, what state you want to remain in for the rest of your life. And you can. You can. Because now you are married to the very essence and concept of money. And now the life you make together is up to you as to how you will experience this. And again, please remember, on the surface, this sounds like nice words. Oh, nice ideas, nice stories. These stories now go deep, very deep, into your consciousness. Because, why? Because no longer is just your head listening, your heart is paying attention. And believe me, when your heart pays attention, look out. That's why you say you take it to heart. You really make it your own when your heart pays attention and lets it in. You are now beginning to make it your own. This is going to sink in. Every day, you're going to remember everything that's been talked about in this exchange, and you're going to start seeing inspirations. You're going to start feeling possibilities. You're going to start being more excited about acting on opportunities and creating opportunities. You're going to start seeing everything as an opportunity. You're going to start getting excited about more things. And if there should be a moment in the honeymoon where you feel you want to be a little more withdrawn, want to be alone, maybe feel a little bit sad, it's all right, because all emotions will be part of your relationship and your experience with money. And when you learn that your heart can handle it, that it's okay to feel these things, you will learn how to take those emotions, and in feeling them and accepting them and acknowledging them, they will become exchangeable commodities. They will turn into valued items that you will be able to use, learn from, glean things from, that will only add to the momentum of your honeymoon, your perpetual honeymoon with money. Honey. So perhaps this is more of a money moon. You are now on a perpetual money moon. Now, understand that generally when you choose to go on a honeymoon, you choose to travel to exotic places, maybe, or just relax in the hammock in the backyard. Whatever is a honeymoon to you, but that's the point here. Allow yourself to understand, very importantly, that abundance will come to you at the level that is truly abundant for you, that it will come in your way. You don't have to be abundant like someone else in order to be abundant. And again, remember, you can have as much money as you really want. You really can. And when you stay in this vibrational state of the money moon, that will be the vibrational frequency in which that abundance most easily can come, in the same way that when you are in a state of being on a honeymoon, you can easily call up room service. You can easily go here, go there. And many things are simply provided for you. Many times you have heard it said, and it is true, that people, when they are rich, don't always have to spend their money. People, when they are rich, find themselves suddenly perplexed by the number of people wanting to come up and give them things. You will generate an aura of abundance that will allow people to want to increase that abundance for you. Again, please don't understand this as, oh yes, I'm going to make everyone my money slave. Oh yes, they're going to kowtow to me because I'm so great, I'm the big money mogul, and I am going to get whatever I want wherever I walk in, and I can be careless and rude and I don't care, they're always going to bow down to me. It's not what I'm talking about, and you know it, and you know it. So I don't have to say it, but too late. But you will find, as a general principle again, that when you allow yourself to learn to do more with less, one of the side effects of then having to do less to get more will be this: your presence vibrating in love with abundance will trigger a love abundance reaction in others who also want to feel that way. And one of the ways they will then express that is by giving you things you could easily buy, but they will give them to you. And when that happens, because it will, then your response needs to be the essence of grace, the essence of gratitude, the essence of humility. Go back into the understanding of doing more with less, knowing you don't need the more to do what you need to do, and in knowing that, thus creating the ability to doing less to get more. And in that state of gratitude and grace, somehow, some way, return the gesture and give to someone else. Allow yourself to increase someone else's abundance. It is always, always, no matter in what form it's expressed, it is always about being of service. When you fall into your excitement and stay in your honeymoon, you are in love. And you want to be, your heart wants to be in love with the world. Express that where you feel it is appropriate. I'm not saying you have to lose your head. You don't have to be unbalanced about this idea. But when you know, when your heart talks to you, and you can hear it, you can feel it, then be of service. And believe me, one of the most fundamental principles, again, and you have heard it, but you'll hear it again. When you enrich others, you will be enriched. You will be enriched. You will be enriched. And now that you have begun to change your relationship to money, then part of your enrichment flow will contain lots more money, as well as other forms of enrichment and other forms of abundance. Remember, you are rich. The universe is abundant. You are abundant. What you're simply learning here, again, is to change your relationship to allow the abundance that is already available to you to fall like pennies from heaven, to shower you with riches, to let go of the conflicting conundrums of paradoxical definitions that don't work for you, that tear you apart, to unravel them, let them go, to see clearly that you are created, that you are a loving person, that you are a loved person, that you are a rich person, and that this can translate in physical terms and in monetary terms. There is no reason why it can't, and there is no reason why you can't, unless you give yourself a reason not to. It is in your hands, it is in your control, it is all around you. Opportunities are screaming at you all the time. But your state and disconnection from your heart creates a deaf ear to the ringing opportunities that you are presented with constantly, incessantly. There is no vacuum in creation. There is not a second that goes by when there isn't a sparkling, ringing opportunity for you to become, as you say, stinking, filthy rich. You can leave out the stinking part if you want. Though some people might like the smell of money. That will surround your aura and be your aura when you really, really, really let it in. Are there questions? You. Good day. And to you, good day.
I just wanted to hear what you had to say. I'm sure you're aware that in the Bible it actually doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is
Yes,
the
I
root of all.
understand that.
So could you sort of
But I
clarify?
wasn't actually quoting your Bible. I
Right.
was simply quoting the phrase that most of the people in your culture use.
Right.
The idea, however, expressed in your biblical literature is what we are talking about when we talk about the idea of becoming too involved in the materiality aspect. In other words, the love of money in the sense that you feel that your worth is determined by the money instead of the money being determined by your worth. You understand the difference?
Yes.
Does that clear it up for you?
It does.
Thank you. You.
With children who
Yes.
are at risk, who are in jail because they've stolen cars or done
Yes.
drugs. And I was talking with one young man today who's facing 30 years
Yes.
and using a gun. And it breaks my heart because I want to try to give him some solid advice on how literate and they don't have skills that...
Do you remember what we said? You are created with everything you need as who you are to generate some beginning momentum in the direction of the expression of who you are and the reflection of abundance that comes with it. You must fully understand and take to heart what we mean when we say that and how literally we mean that before you will be able to pass that on to him or anyone like him. But that's what you need to get him to understand, is as he is. Get out of this, I don't have the skills. You do have the skills to be who you are. You have the skills. You don't need to be taught anything to start this rolling, because creation in its infinite wisdom knew it was setting you down on a planet with nothing but the skin on your back, and knew that was enough, and that the rest is left up to you as to how to express your ability to take that, the skill of being you, and turn it into any other expression of abundance you want to mutate it, to transform it in any way you want to. But what you have to begin with and what you need to understand and take to heart is that if you are simply just dropped on the planet naked, you've got all the skills you need to be you, and thus to act on the opportunities that are specifically germane to your heart and your excitement and your passion. And by acting on them and using your imagination and your inspiration, you will be able to dig yourself out of what may seem to be the most impenetrable, deepest, blackest hole, if you will go back to the basic of understanding that you can with almost nothing. When you learn that, you will know how to transfer that to him. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
You!
Hi, Bashar.
To you, good day.
I'm really enjoying the synchronicity of my past week and
All
what's
right.
happened here this evening.
Make it one statement or one question.
Okay, I will. I don't know if it's mathematical or relationship, but I walked my horse up the street and helped somebody else's horses, and a couple days later, I drove past and he was there. And I remembered what you said about stretching at this time.
Yes.
So I parked my car and I went over to talk to Herb. And I told him about that he had to fix the boards, okay? And I asked if I could move my horse onto the corner of his property at the beginning of June. And what ended up happening was he showed me the house and offered it to me for rent.
All right.
And I was so interested in him. I guess I enjoy seeing potential. I said, Herb, what are you into? And he said, well, I'm taking a class and I said, in what? And he said, well, it's called Excel.
Yes.
So what is my relationship to him at this point? Because
There is no way I can answer that for
every
you.
time I move, I never have the money. I have to create it, and that's part of my
That's
growth
what this interaction
experience.
is all about. But in you having the ability to recognize that synchronicity is ever present for you, you can take that to heart and understand that if you apply everything that we have talked about in the way that we have talked about it, you will understand very clearly what is the next thing you need to do. And that's it.
All right, thank you.
You! Keep this simple, everyone. It really doesn't need to be complicated. That's the beauty of it. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm just talking about that in general.
Bashar.
Yes, good day.
Hello. I need to ask you about tithing.
Tithing, yes.
Mm-hmm. I do
What about
tithe.
it?
I do tithe, but is that a necessary requirement of us on the planet to do that in order to create more abundance?
It is not necessary to tithe specifically in the format that you are referring to, but the idea is that, yes, it is necessary, in a sense, to give and support. Do you follow?
Yes, I do.
It is necessary to help others become abundant. It is necessary to serve. Whether that actually takes the literal form of tithing or not is not the issue. It can, but it doesn't have to. There are many ways, in a sense, to be of service. There are many different kinds of tithing. You follow?
Yes, I do, and I do service as well, but I
Yeah.
do tithe
Well,
to
that's
a
up to
spiritual
you.
organization.
It's
but
completely up to you.
it's not. Okay.
Completely up to you. Are you following me literally? It's completely up to you. Does that help you?
Thank you.
You.
Hi, Bashar.
And a you good day.
It certainly is. Thank you. I've had this sort of like an intuition, and it's about money.
Sort of like an
Okay,
intuition.
pardon my awkwardness, but I'm framing this
Yeah,
as I go along
Oh,
here.
all right.
I'm being creative.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm having a good time, too.
Thank you.
I have this feeling that rather than sitting on money, which kind of means like fear of using it, that by sharing it and keeping it moving around and giving gifts and doing the things, you know,
In some senses,
it's
yes.
more a positive
In
approach.
some senses, yes. At the same time, this is where many of you get into what you call thorny brambles. Because the idea is that sometimes many of you may be doing that not really as a mechanism for flowing money, but as a reaction to a feeling of lack. And then you get yourself into trouble.
How can we tell the difference?
Well, that's a very good question. How honest can you be about your self-evaluation?
Well, like the other day, I had been thinking there was an SPCA kind of drive, and I
Yes.
wanted to contribute some money. And I thought,
Yes.
well, you know, I like having money in the savings, but on the other hand, it means a lot to me to share with the people who are helping these creatures.
All right.
So it just felt like the right thing to do.
All right.
Another day,
And did what you shared allow you to feel that you had the ability to both share and remain abundant, and in sharing increase their abundance and your abundance simultaneously?
It felt
Or
like
did there feel to be at any moment any kind of an awkward imbalance?
I was very comfortable with it.
All right. Then perhaps in that measure and in that occasion and to that degree, that might be in balance for you. That's what you have to determine. Is this in balance? Sometimes, yes, you will find that you can make a grand gesture with absolute conviction and faith that it will be replaced many times over. And sometimes that will occur. But understand that what we are talking about here today are the underlying fundamental dynamics to begin to rattle loose within you all the different definitions, all the different belief systems within you that would go hand in hand either with allowing that to work for you or with creating the apparency of self-sabotage. That's what these exercises are all about, is to help put you in touch with which one is going on in your behavior, and which one thus is an explanation for your actions and your desire to do a certain thing relative to the taking in of or giving out of money. Make
Yeah.
sense?
well, not totally. May I tell you what my thinking was and get
Yes.
your response to that? Well, what I was thinking is I prefer to live from my higher part,
Yes.
the part of me who shares and is not concerned about money because I know it's always there.
Yes.
It always has been there.
Yes.
And before that money was in the bank, I was worried about where it was coming from, and that money came.
Yes.
So it's going to keep coming. I just
Yes.
thought I'm just going to just enjoy it and keep doing whatever I'm doing and not be
All right.
concerned about it.
All right. Then thank you.
Okay.
Then you will arrive in your own good time at any such places as might crop up. I'm not saying they will, as might crop up that will show you whether or not you are continuing in balance. And again, of course, remember, one of the fundamental ideas for why this seminar was requested and created was to also put you in touch with circumstances and situations that would allow you to actually expand and increase your monetary income so much that you wouldn't even have to stop and think about whether or not you could or could not help someone like that.
I
Do
like
you
that
follow?
much better. That's much more pleasant to just flow and just keep flowing.
All right.
I like that better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You and then you. Number two, do you know who you are? All right, number one, good day.
I just wanted to ask if there was any significance to the little coin.
Those are a creative creation that acts as a synchronous mirror so that each and every one of you has the opportunity to instill meaning into it because it is fundamentally neutral. You follow me? You can instill your own value in it as a monetary exercise. You can allow yourself to apply to the idea of any single coin or what might be a placeholder for a coin of value as low or as high as you prefer it to have, so that you understand that and get used to the idea that a single coin could actually buy you anything you want instead of having to use many such coins to do so. That is the point of that blank coin, to function as an exercise of non-denominational value so that you can instill the denomination you prefer to have and can change that denomination anytime you wish, so that you gain the exercise of flexibility with regard to relative value and your ability to use less to get more. Does that help you? Thank you. Number two.
Bashar, thank you so much for enriching my day.
And you for enriching ours.
You're welcome. Before I came, I wrote down a question or a thought, and it was that I have difficulty in asking for money
Yes.
for service or goods.
All right.
This has been a lifelong. However, through the things that you've shared today, you've really helped me through this, and I was wondering, at this point, is there anything more you may want to share?
One of the things that you have now brought up, synchronistically, will be an exercise to some degree we have talked about. It is a very valuable exercise, and I would highly recommend that you add it to all of the other processes and ideas that you take away with you from this particular seminar, and that is to literally take some time to write out all your beliefs about money, positive and negative, to write them down. I have difficulty doing this. I have difficulty doing that. I'm afraid to do this. Money is this to me. Money is that to me. If I have this much money, I feel this way. If I have this little money, I feel that way. If someone were to give me this much money, if I were to win this money, how would I feel? Would I deserve it? Write all your beliefs about money down on paper so you can see them outside of your head. That is a very powerful exercise to help you learn to get in touch with what beliefs and relationships you have had and help you form healthier relationships in the future. Do you follow?
Excellent, thank you.
On the other side of the coin, allow yourself the opportunity in this exercise to also know that all of these things you will write down, they are really valueless in and of themselves. They are empty, they are props, they are smoke, they are mirrors, They are weightless. They are massless. They have no power. They have no substance. All these ideas that seem so powerful are only powerful because they are borrowing your power to come alive. Do you follow? When you thus look at them on the paper, you will understand that they actually aren't worth the paper that they're printed on, much like your money. Pun intended. Now, thus then, to coin a phrase, allow yourself the opportunity to understand that it is you that gives value to money. It is you that gives value to beliefs and ideas. It is you that determines what the coin of the realm shall be. When you are trafficking in the exchange of beliefs, when you are on the belief stock market, put your stock in what you prefer, and do not be swayed by the motion of the market that has nothing to do with you. You set the par value for your stock. In your reality, in your value, in your worth, you set it. You own stock in yourself. You own all of it, 100% of it. You can't give any away. It is not, in that sense, distributable. So, understand that what you say it means, what worth and value you give to these beliefs, is where they get their power from. And the same goes with the ideas and your relationships to money. It takes its power from you in order to be spendable. You follow? Then bank on that. And you will earn a lot of interest. Interest in yourself. You understand? Never ending, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling. Interest in yourself over and over and over again, many times over. Each and every one of you. Allow yourself to understand that this is all it takes. This is all there is. Money is not a mystery. It does not have to seem alien to you, even though it might be foreign currency. The exchange rate is completely predicated on your willingness to rate yourself and exchange old ideas for new ideas and empower those instead of what has been given to you, instead of what you have inherited. You will now set the mark, set the value, set the stage. You are your own business. You will grow as such. Make your business the business of being yourself. Make your business the business of serving others, and help them become rich. And I guarantee you 100% without any reservation, when you help make others rich, you will become rich. Ponder all the things we have said. Use them all and incorporate them all. And don't leave out the heart, or it'll pout. Our absolute and unconditional abundance. And remember, you are never alone. Always, always being guided. Good day to you all. How did it go? Thank you all very much for being here tonight, for coming to this. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you some other time. Thanks again. Oh, yeah. I didn't see her.
Something to drink, yeah.
Thank you. Can I get a copy of the tip?
She works in a bank, I love it. Right. And I have some stuff. Touching money all the time. Well, now I love it. But I want to multiply that stuff. Breathe this blue heart into it. Yes. Bring the peace into your life. I told you that when I first met you. I said, you're here to heal the money industry. So yeah, whatever field we're in, is the field we're supposed to use our service.
That's where it is.
Well, I don't know. Just imagine the bank is your bank. This bank belongs to me. See it as your business.
Yeah, when you were bank
You may just win enough money to open a bank. You never know. Didn't our lottery ticket, didn't our thing say this much? Yes. Buy a lottery ticket. Basically, this is a month to bank on ourselves.
I thought I had it. No, maybe I didn't.
I got it.
You got it.
Some got married now, but the money. What a good marriage! Harmony, money moves. That was so fun. And I loved it. What was the heart? So it was so fun. It was like abundant. Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet penny. It doesn't matter. Well, it's just about the relationship. This is something we fear that we're going to lose. So thereby the fear and even maybe not consciousness.
Everyone, please remember.
No, actually very good at creating.
Of love.